Welcome to the Poor Man's Retro Game Room, and you know, I like modern retro devices. I like good ones, good modern retro devices, and a lot of times they can be a real budget way of playing some of your old favorite retro games, or even some of the indie modern retro games. And the Evercade does that very, very well. I'm a big fan of the Verse. I also did pick up the handheld version. And this one's the original, it's not the XP, but the original. I got a really great price on this, so I broke down, bought the handheld, bought a case for it and everything, but I've been really happy with both devices. And the Verse is a lot of fun because it's like a home console. You can load 2 cartridges into it at once, plays on your modern device, and it's a budget-friendly device as well, and that's a big deal right now. So but anyway, today I'm going to talk about my top 5 favorite Evercade games. So not cartridges, but games. Also, I would love to hear from you. Do you own an Evercade? Do you plan on getting an Evercade? If you do own one, give me your top 5 favorite games. At least let me know what games are in my list if you don't own one, and what games you liked out of my list. And there's going to be some Evercade owners probably surprised at some of the games I picked. It is a unique top 5 list, I will tell you that. But I have to be straight with you, man. I'm giving you my top 5 favorite games. So without further ado, let's get started on my top 5 favorite Evercade games. That's right. All Tanzer wants to do is dance, man. Just let him dance. No, for number 5, my number 5 pick, this is a great pick in my opinion. This is one of those games that was released in 2019, but it was released for the Sega Mega Drive. So a new game for the Mega Drive in 2019 by Mega Cat Studio, of course. It comes on the Mega Cat Collection 1 cartridge for the Evercade. And this is a really great way to play this game. This game is tough, but it's a lot of fun, and it is very, very addictive. And it's one of the weirdest games I've played, honestly. I mean, look at these enemies. There's just an endless parade of strange enemies and projectiles to avoid. And, you know, it's just one of those awesome Sega Genesis games or Sega Mega Drive games that was released after the system has, you know, already been discontinued. So, very cool boss fights, and a really cool thing that Tanzer has in it is after each level, you can actually spin the jewels that you have collected throughout the level to upgrade your character. You can upgrade the weapon, you can add new powers, and as you can see there, even if you if you get like 500 jewels, you can actually upgrade to be able to save your game. One of the great things about playing this on the Evercade is save states, and they are in use on this game, and you're gonna need them because you're gonna die a lot. But this is one of those fun games that it doesn't matter how difficult it is. In fact, that's part of the charm, and part of the coolness of the game is the difficulty level. And this is really a great find for me, and a game that I come back to often. Haven't beat it, of course, but man, there's some awesome boss fights, and I can't recommend Tanzer enough. If you have an Evercade, the handheld, or the Verse, man, pick up Mega Cat Collection 1's Mega Cat Studio Collection 1 cartridge, because you will not be disappointed.
I'll be back.
Gelco is a Spanish arcade company that made, stand-up arcade units, and Thunder Hoops was their first game in this line. Thunder Hoops 2 Strike Back, or TH Strike Back, is the sequel to Thunder Hoops. Man, this game is awesome. I'm really kind of sad that we missed out on Gelco arcade games, because I've had a really good experience on the Evercade with these arcade games from Gelco. This game is a lot of fun, man, and it kind of reminds me of a little bit of what a Neo Geo game might be like. The art style is unique, the graphics are just fantastic. The challenges here, of course, it can get pretty tough, just like any arcade game would be. But man, this game is a lot of fun. The challenge is good, and the levels vary a lot. There's some really good platforming areas too. Some challenging boss fights, and I mean challenging boss fights. But man, just a lot of fun. And the enemies they're so different, and they just keep coming at you, It's kind of got that alien, movie feel to it, and it does this genre very, very well. Of course, you can upgrade your Thunder Hoops, I guess, your weapon, your shot, your projectile. You can get upgrades that'll make you invincible for a short amount of time. You can kill enemies by hopping on them or shooting them. And some very unique enemies that you do fight in the game. And it's always nice to have, your hoops, your projectiles powered up, because it really does help you in this game. And that shield is really awesome. It just touches the enemy, and of course they are evaporated. So, but yeah, this is a very quality game that I would not have played unless I had an Evercade. I would never have played this game. And I think that that's one of the cool things about the Evercade, is discovering games that you had no idea existed or were never released here in the States. Some really quality, awesome arcade games. And I totally recommend both the Gelco arcade packages, but this one comes on the Gelco Arcade too, and I highly, highly recommend it. If you like arcade games, you will not be disappointed. I might get some flack for this, having Cathedral at number 3, but don't think that I don't like this game or I don't love this game. This game is amazing. It's a very good, side-scrolling platforming game. It kind of feels a little bit like Shovel Knight, but it's not Shovel Knight. It has some kind of feels like maybe Zelda 2 on the NES as well. It's just a really awesome game, and there's a ton of secrets that you can find. You can upgrade your armor. It's a really, really good game. The platforming is excellent. The graphics are just amazing, and this game will suck you right in. The first time you play it, you're going to really enjoy this and really want to play it to the end. This is an indie game that's just really cool to have on the Evercade. Now, you can get this on Steam, the Switch, and I think the PlayStation Network has it as well. But it's just awesome to have a physical cartridge with a manual and the case, and the game that comes with this comes on a dual cart. Alawa's Awakening is an excellent 8-bit game as well, and yeah, you definitely get your money's worth if you purchase this cartridge. It's a great buy, and you'll get hours and hours of fun from Cathedral. It's an amazing game. I highly recommend this cartridge.
May the God guide you in your quest to save the country.
Yeah, I know. This is probably a big surprise, but I can't help it, man. I love this game. It was released in 1990, and in the US it's called Gate of Doom. In Japan it's called Dark Seal. There's a really good sequel to this game as well, but for some reason I like the original. It's awesome. It's one of the first cartridges I got with my Evercade, and man, I find myself coming back to it very often. I can imagine that this game would even be funner with more players, because you can play up to 4 players on it, I believe. And of course the Evercade is equipped for 4 players, the Evercade Verse. That's very easy to do if you have the home console to Verse. Man, this game will not disappoint. It's tough. The boss fights are tough. But man, I just keep coming back to it, and I get a little better every time I play it. This particular boss fight with the green dragon is, there's some boss fights where you can't use your magic. And of course, they can poison you, and I've kind of found that some characters are a little better against different bosses than others. The wizard really does an amazing job with the bosses, with her flames, the magic that she has. This is just one of those really cool games. Isometric perspective, as you can see, and just a hack and slash arcade game that shouldn't be nostalgic to me, but it is now. If that makes sense. I mean, I never played the stand-up unit, but it brings back a lot of those memories of those great arcade games that you could go into the arcade and play. And man, I'd have been pumping some quarters into this one, and probably a lot, because it can get difficult. But it's a different kind of arcade game as well, because the pace, you can see it's a little bit slower. Which is kind of cool, man. I mean, if you get good at this game, you could have played this game and been on that stand-up for quite a while, playing the game. And it's just kind of different. It can kind of remind you of the Dungeons and Dragons arcade game. There's a lot of Dungeons and Dragons type of stuff in this game, of course. But man, the boss fights are just amazing, and yeah, especially this boss here, the Beholder, is what I call him. But man, it's tough. You think that you're kind of got a beat on him and kind of got a technique of beating him, and it's not easy. But when you do bring him down, even if you popped in a few quarters to do it, it's still rewarding, because yeah, it's a tough boss fight, but man, it's awesome. It takes up the entire screen, and just so cool. The music, the graphics, everything come together on this game. What an amazing game. I highly recommend Data East Arcade Collection 1. This is a great pickup. you didn't think I'd forget about Xeno Crisis now, did you? This is one of the best games, and it is my favorite game on the Evercade. This comes on a dual cart. It comes with another indie game. Really fun game. This game has been released on several different systems too, which was kind of surprising. It's been released on the Switch, of course, PlayStation 4, the Sega Mega Drive, the PlayStation Vita, Xbox One, almost forgot Xbox One, Microsoft Windows, Mac, Linux, Dreamcast, Neo Geo, and the N64, and even the GameCube. This was a Kickstarter project that was fully funded in January of 2018, and man, this is a great way to play it. This game, getting it on the Evercade is a cheap way to get it, and it's a cheap way to get it with physical and have it as a physical game. And you know what? The controller isn't a twin stick. It might be a little easier on a twin stick, controller. But if you're using just the regular Evercade or the Evercade controller, you can get used to it. This game's a blast. Several different weapons you can pick up, or power-ups for your weapon anyway. And you collect those medals, and what you do is that at the end of each level, you can take those medals and spend it on power-ups. And you can power up your health, the amount of ammo that you can carry, the amount of grenades you can carry. It's really, really cool. And yeah, here you can see, how you can level all that stuff up. This game is awesome, man. It is awesome. And it's one I keep coming back to. It kicks my tail. But man, I love this game. The boss fights are awesome, and I highly, highly recommend the Xeno Crisis dual cart. Hey, thanks for joining me today, and I really do appreciate it. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much. I'd still love to hear from you. Let me know if you own an Evercade, if it's something that you're thinking about getting. If you do own an Evercade, I'd love to hear your top 5 games. So, alright, well, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.